Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy D-Lloyd. So just 24 hours after officially relieving Jason Garrett as the head coach, the Dallas Cowboys have moved on and they have signed Mike McCarthy. Now, you guys probably already know this by now, but I'm going to give you guys my opinions and my thoughts, and I would love to hear your guys' opinions and thoughts. But before we get into that, please go ahead, leave this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you guys have your notification bells on as well, man. But Mike McCarthy, do I think it was a good signing by the Dallas Cowboys? And I'm kind of mixed about my feelings of this signing, and I will explain why. The Dallas Cowboys, they are one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. I think everybody can agree at least that the roster is definitely good enough to be in the playoffs and probably good enough to be competing to try to make it to the Super Bowl. That's how good of a roster they have. Of course, it's Dallas. Of course, it was Jason Garrett. It was a bunch of different things why they didn't live up to expectations. But with that said, Kellen Moore, first-time offensive coordinator, he did a decent job, maybe above decent job, because the Dallas Cowboys had the number 1 ranked offense in the NFL in terms of yards per game. Number 1. So even though the wins and losses weren't where Dallas wanted it, the offense fared well in terms of how many yards they were gaining per game. Now, sometimes maybe they could have gave Zeke the ball a little bit more. Maybe sometimes they could have had the number 1 receiver on the field on probably the most important play of the season. But with that said, Dallas still had a very, very efficient offense. On the defensive side of the football, that's where things kind of crumbled a little bit. I think talent-wise, they have enough talent to be a top 10 defense. They weren't that good. I think they definitely underperformed when it comes to playing defense as a unit this season. Mike McCarthy, he's an offensive-minded coach, right? He was an offensive coordinator before he took the head coaching job in 2006 with the Green Bay Packers. He was known for his offense. He had Brett Favre. He then had, of course, Aaron Rodgers. Ultimately, though, he was fired because his offense began to become a little stale, right? It became stagnant at times. It didn't really innovate with how the offenses were kind of trending in the NFL. Ultimately, him and Aaron Rodgers did not see eye to eye. Aaron Rodgers had a big part of Mike McCarthy being fired. On top of that, Mike McCarthy was 4-7-1 in those final games with the Green Bay Packers. So it wasn't the best of endings, but you bring in an offensive-minded coach to a team that's already good offensively with Kellen Moore there, who I think they're probably going to keep on. I don't see any reason that you let go of Kellen Moore. I think him, Mike McCarthy, maybe they can find a way to integrate that West Coast scheme that Mike McCarthy's going to want to bring to Dallas. Hopefully they can kind of integrate that and make it as seamless as possible for Dak. I do think now Dak Prescott gets a long-term deal. I think that's what this hiring is setting up. I think there's no question in my mind that was a question. And Mike McCarthy said, Dak, I think we can win with him. I like Dak Prescott, and I think that was ultimately it. Marvin Lewis, the reason why he now comes into question was he was the other guy that was interviewed along with Mike McCarthy. Some people are saying that interview was more of a coordinator interview than a head coaching interview. And here how this could make sense a little bit. He's a defensive-minded coach, right? Marvin Lewis could be your defensive coordinator. And then you have Mike McCarthy as your offensive guy who's kind of overseeing things with Kellen Moore still the offensive coordinator. Now, that is not a terrible staff if that's who Mike McCarthy wants. Now, we know Jerry Jones, he likes to have the final word and the final say on a lot of stuff. He may want a Marvin Lewis, and Mike McCarthy may not want a Marvin Lewis. I don't know exactly who the defensive coordinator is. This is all speculation, of course. But I think Jerry Jones has to allow Mike McCarthy to bring in his guys, the people he wants, the people he thinks can help this team. You also have to worry about Jerry Jones, like I said, interfering with that and him bringing in his guys instead. And if that's the case, then people are going to start to question whether or not Mike McCarthy is the guy long term. He could just be the guy for 2 seasons, 3 seasons, 4 seasons, and then maybe it's a Jason Witten or somebody like that who then becomes the head coach. But I think for Dallas, they need a win now. They feel like their Super Bowl window is very short, and I agree with them, especially once you pay Dak Prescott. You're going to start losing players. You're going to start losing talent, and I think that window is going to start leaving and evaporating. So you do need a win now. So I do agree with you not going with the college coach. Mike McCarthy, I think, is a safe bet. It's definitely safe. But does that take you over the top? Does that make you a championship, a Super Bowl contender year in and year out for the next few seasons? I'm not quite sure if Mike McCarthy's that guy. I think a lot of it's going to come down to who does he bring on to handle the defense? Who does he bring on to keep the offense afloat? I think the talent is there. I just don't know, man. I don't know if Mike McCarthy is just that guy. I don't know if he's going to have you playing inspired football. I think that's my biggest question mark. Jason Garrett wasn't inspiring you. Mike McCarthy, yes, your team's going to be disciplined. Are they going to play inspired football? That's definitely my question with Mike McCarthy, man. But you guys let me know how you guys feel about this in the comment section below. Do you think this was a good signing? Do you agree with Jerry Jones and going down to get Mike McCarthy? Of course, you had to go out there and get him early because you didn't want the Cleveland Browns or the Giants to get him. I think if you're Mike McCarthy, I think the Browns was a better fit for you. I think you would have got more time. You wouldn't have had the overbearing owner over your shoulder. I think that was the better fit. He decided to go to Dallas. You guys let me know how you guys feel about it in the comment section below. It's your boy D Lloyd. I'm see y'all next time. Peace.